Hello everyone, it's Raylene Bartlett from RTO Doctor, and today is Sunday the 21st of August, and yes, it's 30 tips for 30 days. Today I'm coming to you with something that's not unique to the vocational education training sector in Australia, but something that can be really thought about no matter what industry area you're working in. And it occurred to me today as I was going about doing my everyday stuff and reviewing documents for clients that not everything that we do is always apparent as to why we do it, but nothing is always clear when the shit hits the fan, when things are really tough. Why do we do the things we do? And I know that for me, when I first entered the education training sector, it was because I wanted to make a difference in the lives of others, and I wanted to be a part of a system that could give everybody an opportunity for a better life, to have the tools and resources that they needed to be able to achieve their dreams and goals. Now, I tried really hard in my own way to do that as a teacher in high schools, and then I tried doing that from the perspective of someone who is a trainer and assessor in the vocational education training system, and making sure that the training and assessment that I did made a difference in the lives of others through community welfare work and welfare services and community development practices and things like that, welfare teachers in schools. But then that wasn't enough, and I felt that I wasn't making the difference that I needed to make. And so I started asking myself back then, and this is going back a long time now, it's going back to perhaps, I don't know, maybe 2000, 2002. And I was asking myself, why am I doing this? How can I make a bigger difference in the lives of everybody around me? And I used to think to myself that perhaps if I moved forward and started working in management, that I would have the opportunity to make a bigger difference, because I figured that if I was the leader, then I would be making sure that the things that I wanted to capture and leave with the audience and the students who were going out to teach others, then I would be a ripple in their world, and that ripple would drip feed through to the communities that they worked with. And so I moved up the org chart, if you like, and tried to make a difference in that way. And what I realised was that, yes, I did make a difference, but it wasn't the difference that I was still trying to make. So again, I started asking myself, how can I make a bigger difference again? And so I joined bigger companies and started making the same difference, but across a broader geographical area. And after a while, things started to get a little bit tiring, and I wasn't achieving the change that I wanted, and so eventually I became a regulator. And I thought to myself, well, if I can't make the difference that I want to make by being a teacher or a trainer or a CEO or a campus director of an RTO, how is it that I can make a difference as a regulator? And I felt that if I could at least make sure that the systems that these organisations were operating in was sound, then perhaps people had a better opportunity to achieve their dreams and goals, because after all, I was providing a solid foundation, so why wouldn't they? And then it occurred to me that education is one of those industries where the moment you start to put quality and education in the same sentence, there becomes a business decision, and the compromise is usually on the end of quality, and the people who matter the most and are the primary purpose for you doing what you're doing doesn't always end up being the people who get the outcome that you wanted. So I thought, okay, as a regulator, I'm responsible for making sure that all of these RTOs get their systems in order, and that they're compliant with the standards, and you know, they cross their T's and dot their I's. But really, was that making sure that they could leave the legacy that I was trying to help them achieve? And I guess the answer came back to me in a way that I wasn't expecting. I thought that if I was on the other side of the fence and I was enforcing the requirements to be a solid provider, that I would be achieving a better system for students. But in actual fact, what happened was all I was doing was decreasing the opportunities and forcing people to do something that they didn't necessarily want to do. And again, it comes down to access and availability and equity. And what I realised was that even though I was working with all these providers who were or weren't actually trying to do the right thing, what I realised was that the main places that were being hit the hardest were those whose passion was the highest, those people who were trying the hardest to make a difference in the world, whose area of expertise wasn't compliance, it wasn't dotting their I's and crossing their T's. It was about leaving a legacy and making a difference in the only industry area they know. And they're experts in their fields. And so I figured that perhaps one of the best ways to help them was to help them fight the bureaucracy. And so when it comes time to audit for them and things like that, I can help them be better prepared so that they're leaving behind the legacy that they want to leave, but they're also free to discover their passion and deliver their passion in a way that is meaningful for them, but is also meaningful for the students that they're providing for. And so what I'm finding more and more is that as the regulatory environment changes in education and training in Australia, so too the passion of these providers is dwindling. And what we're finding more and more is that the people whose hearts are in the right places are giving up because they just can't see the point in the red tape anymore. And at RTO Doctor, what we're seeing more and more is more and more clients who are facing a situation where their registration's been suspended or cancelled, and it may or may not be their fault. It may be that they've engaged the wrong staff, and you know that's a whole other topic that I'll discuss another day, in that you can only rely on what the piece of paper tells you about someone, and if that person says that they have the skills and experience to do something that they can't do, you can only believe that piece of paper and give them the opportunity to prove themselves wrong. So it's not really until after we've got through that probationary period and we've been able to identify that they don't know what they don't know and they're actually leading us astray that we realise that we're in trouble. And that seems to be happening a lot with some of our more passionate providers, because they delegate the responsibility of compliance to other people while they focus on their passion. And it's at those times where we really need to start thinking about why is it that we do what we do? Because if we're not asking ourselves the question now, when everything's going well, when things are not going well, we'll often find it difficult to fight the battles that need to be fought. If we don't remember why we're doing something, you won't do it. Hi Arabelle, thank you for doing what you do too. Hi Mohan, welcome to the RTO Doctor Live feed, 30 tips for 30 days. So just going back to what I was saying, if we don't know why we're doing something, when things get tough, and you know there are days when even at RTO Doctor things get really tough, and I say to myself, why am I getting out of bed today? And sometimes it's really important to ask ourselves that question. Why is it that you get out of bed every day to do something that you do, when you know you can be incredibly sick, or there could be a whole range of factors where you don't want to come to work that day, or you don't want to be doing what you're doing. But what is it? What's that one thing that makes you do what you want to do every single day of the year? And I really encourage you to think about that, and to think about why you do what you want, why you do what you do, because we don't think about it enough, and it's an important question. Thank you so much for listening in today, and I hope you go away and think about your why. I hope that you come up with an answer that is helpful to you, and if you don't, then maybe you need to start thinking about why you do what you do. And if you're not happy doing what you're doing, then maybe it's time to think about what would make you happy. and how can you achieve that happiness in doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to sharing another tip with you tomorrow for the 30 days, 30 tips. Bye for now.